Guys, Harrogate is over and done with. I have definitely got the Harrogate blues. So let's talk about what books I got signed, whether you need to read them, and a bit about the author, and also the books I picked up in Harrogate. Now, I did actually do quite well here. I didn't actually spend too much money, but we'll get into that. I actually have that many books, I can't lift them all, guys. So yeah, let's get into it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I am Katie. I am a thriller girly who does occasionally branch out into different genres, and today we're going to talk about Harrogate. So I have done a bit of a vlog, though subpar, may I add. I have realised that I'm actually not very good at vlogging, and I've accepted that I'm okay with that because I had the best time. So a little bit about Harrogate from what I've learned. It was my first time going to Harrogate Festival, and basically it is a 4-day event set over normally around the end of July. It happens once a year, and every year the lineup can be different, and it just features thriller authors and thriller authors alone. This can be your well-known ones, or this can be some indie and debut authors, and it is the perfect way to mingle. Now, what I will say about Harrogate, guys, is that it completely surprised me how much mingling there was. Like, I literally was sat at one point with John Mars, just sat having a chat. Saw him in the same hotel, had a chat over breakfast, that kind of thing. And it just shows that, like, we're all the same. And I absolutely loved that about it. It is a lot to take in, especially your first time. Don't take all the books in the world. I'll explain in a minute when I go through all the haul and things. But I actually ended up buying a tote bag because I ended up getting that signed, because trying to carry a book for every author I bumped into, sometimes two, I was like, yeah, no. It didn't work. I've been in pain for 2 days after, and yeah, it's overstimulating, but basically there are panels where the authors talk to each other about their books, about their lives, and then the signings afterwards. But not only that, they are just mingling in the tents across the venue. There are loads of like chances to win proofs, win books, chat with the authors, and it's just a really wholesome event. You do need to save up. I didn't go full whammy and it cost me an arm and a leg, but I think next time I would do it. It's well worth the money in my opinion. And you get to meet some debut authors that you never hear about. So yeah, but I'll stop talking to you about the event itself. I'm sure what you want to know about is the books. Now, let me see if I can move my camera. Like, this is what we're dealing with, guys. So this is the state of it. Just going to put you back there. Yeah, that is the state of it. And I must admit, some of these I have already bought. This is not what I've completely purchased. So we're going to go through the books I got signed, show you what got signed. I've got a couple of funny stories in there. And then we'll get into the books that I bought, found, always giving us proofs, and also other things that I purchased and picked up along the way to give you the perfect insight into Harrogate. I'm no expert. I will put that out there now. But if you're like me, who's like loved thriller, want to step out your comfort zone, because boy did I, then this is probably the gal for you. And on that, if I am the gal for you and you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I talk about all things thriller books, book recommendations, TBRs, wrap-ups, and just general recommendations. So if that's your kind of thing, then drop me a subscribe. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for being here for another video. But let's get into what we're here for. I've rambled enough. Let's talk about the books. Mic is attached, I mean business. So I went to 4 panels over the 2 days that I actually saw the event. So I was at the event 3 days, however, I didn't arrive till late Thursday, so Friday and Saturday were the main day for the events. And on event 1, I did see Nadine Matheson and obviously Steve Kavanagh, which was half the reason I booked Harrogate in the first place. So both of them were absolutely amazing. They talked about their books, their series, their inspiration for the books. And it was really nice because I've read all books by both authors, so it was really nice to listen to them. Louise Minchin did chair this. Now, I didn't look and do my research, otherwise I did bring Isolation Island with me, but then never got it signed. But I'll go into that. So I did get the Jigsaw Killer signed. And yeah, honestly, the nicest person is Nadine. She was so funny, so down to earth. I bumped into her later on in the event and we were chatting, and she's such a lovely person. And yeah, so I just got a simple dedication and signed. But yeah, she was so lovely. I did take the whole series and soon realised that that was not doable to carry them around all day. So I didn't. And then obviously somewhere else in this stack, I did get witness 8 signed. So I'm currently working through, I see Steve Kavanagh every year pretty much because he's always local to me. Well, reasonably, it's a 35-mile drive, but it's somewhere I'm familiar with that I used to go before I moved out of the area. And it's always in the summer holidays, so I can make a day of it. So I did obviously work through another one. So I did get this one signed. When I met Steve, you guys know I absolutely love him. And he actually said, "Oh, hi Kate, how are you? Thanks for reviewing One of Us is Guilty." And I was like, "Yeah, no worries, mate. I didn't realise we were mates." Honestly, it was surreal. I have recently just done a post about him, his most recent release where I vlogged it. So if you do want to go and check that out, I'll try and remember to put it in the description. If not, just go and check it out. And then the other book I got signed is the proof of One of Us is Guilty. Now, I am still going to purchase this in paperback when it releases next year. I do not think, oh, I've got the proof, I do not need to buy a copy. And I've, of course, got this signed. I think the top shelf of my bookcase is going to become signed editions only. Because I'm running out of room, guys, and I've bought more books. But, chuntering at you, that was the first panel I did. And they are the 2 books that I got, or the 3 books that I got signed and the 2 authors that I met. And yeah, both wholesome, both lovely, both fully up for photos. Phone calls and YouTube videos are not ideal. But I've finished talking about Steve Kavanagh and Dean Matheson. So the next panel I went to was Holly Jackson and Gillian McAllister. And this probably was the most full-on. The panel was brilliant. Holly Jackson screams ADHD, may I add. She is chatty. Honestly, some of the stuff she said in the panel was absolutely, it was fascinating because I was like, she literally just writes a book and that's it. She doesn't edit it, whereas Gillian McAllister's the opposite way. She could write a whole book and bin it. So I did get a few books signed by them. Holly Jackson, we had to queue for above an hour and we were not the last. Some people queued for 2 hours to get books signed by Holly Jackson. So I didn't, I've still got the sticky note in, look, from the dedication. So I did actually ask the people at Harrogate to sign that page because that is full on, but they got her to sign that one. So that was the first book I got signed. And then, this is what I mean, guys, it's honestly endless. The Gillian McAllister was a saint. Now, she was very quiet, and I then saw on her socials that actually she was unwell at the time. So I think she'd come for the event and then gone home because she just didn't want to cancel. But then at the same time, obviously, she wasn't as ill. She was very quiet. And I did feel for her because we were all queuing for Holly Jackson. And I had both, but I didn't want to skip the queue and then have to go back and lose my place. Thankfully, people were so nice that they did save our space because Gillian was getting ready to leave. But I did feel for her because actually, she's probably my favourite author out of the 2. It's just Holly Jackson you never see anything of. So I didn't want to just like go without getting them signed. I did get Not Quite Dead Yet as well signed. And she's literally only signed it Holly, which I thought she would sign it her full name and she didn't. But yeah, both really lovely people. Again, I don't think I saw anything of either author after that event. So I don't know if they just came for the event and left. But the panel was definitely interesting. And Holly Jackson is not what I expected as an author, but very interesting. And yeah, they were the books that I got signed. Next up, and probably one of the most exciting panels, this was towards the end of Saturday, by the way, so I'd just spent an hour queuing for Holly Jackson. I had to bomb into town to go to an independent bookshop because I wanted the tote bag, which I'll show you at the end of all my signings. And I met John Mars. Now, funny story, I actually met him prior to this. If I've got space on the screen, I will put up the picture of me meeting the author as well. However, I will have put them in the previous blog if you want to go and check those out. But John Mars is actually the nicest person. I saw him several times. He was there the whole weekend. He had a stall up as well, so he has signed that in a gold pen. Funny story about John Mars though. So I took my book to get signed after we'd been to the Steve Kavanagh signing. He was there at the stand, and so I thought, why not? Let's get it signed while I'm there, and then we don't have to queue as long later when it's a 4. Well, it was actually a 5-person panel, but Lisa Jewell was so busy hosting the event, I never actually saw her. But yeah, so I had the passengers signed. Now, that's the signature. Now, you'll notice it's not John Mars' signature. It is. However, I was chatting to him, completely my fault. I was chatting to him and I said, oh yeah, I've read all your backlist, John. The only one I haven't read is the minders. So he started writing minders in my signature. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was like, it's fine, because I've now got one of a kind signed edition, and it was really quite a funny story to tell. So I did really, really enjoy meeting him. Like I said, I met him several times. We ended up staying at the same hotel, which was quite a surprise. And yeah, it was just generally a funny story to tell because yeah, he just went, this is why I shouldn't talk and sign. And I was like, I'm so sorry, John. He's like, not your fault. But it was like a funny story. Next person I met was Mark Edwards, and I took Here to Stay, which really surprised him because not many people bring Here to Stay. He was so genuinely nice and chatty as well. So he did sign this for me, and he was surprised when I brought one of his older books. So I talked about Chris, who I've talked about in a lot of my videos from Bookmarked by Chris, and just generally about the, just about the book itself, how irritating I found this book, but how enjoyable it was. Now, for him to say his old one, when did this release? 2019. But yeah, so he was really surprised to see that I brought this one, because most people were bringing like The Wash Trap, One of the Family, or like The Psychopath Next Door, you know, all his really well-known ones. And I didn't. So it was really nice when he was just like, oh, that's unlike you. Like he didn't expect that from people. Next one was Chris, also known as CM Muan, and I took I Spy. This is actually the only book by him I have read. He was incredibly lovely. When I said I had read it, and it was honestly one of the most anxiety-driven books I've ever read, and I was convincing people in the line to read it. So the thing I loved about Harrogate, as a bit of a side like talk, is that I was with Hannah, who I met at the event, but we've been texting for absolutely ages. It was like we finally got out of the WhatsApp and started meeting in person. But at that point she had left and gone back to her hotel, and I was then on my own effectively. But no one, you know, no one ever walks past you. And like I just asked some random person to take a photo, and they did. And I was chatting to him, and I said, this person was like, oh, I've just bought it based on what you just talked about. And I said, oh my God, you need to read it. It's so good. So then he wrote a little message in my book, because I'd said that, saying thank you so much for reading. And yeah, so I'm definitely going to go and look at more CM Muan, because this was so fast-paced, so easy to read, and I thought I would struggle with a 3-hour, like, time-based thriller, and I really didn't. So that tells you, like, how much this book was so easy to read, but so anxiety-driven. So I had to tell him that, and then it had a lovely photo. Like I said, they'll be on the screen if I can get them on, and it was just a wholesome experience, guys. Like, I cannot explain enough how much I loved this. And then the last one, I had a bit of a mind blank there, didn't I? Was TM Logan. Now, I did meet him back in March, I believe it was, at a local independent bookshop to me. So I had already got my favourite book signed, so I did want to take another one. So I have got another book signed by him, and I did pick The Dream Home. I did really enjoy this one. Again, the poor guy was sandwiched in the middle. So the issue I had with the signing, and it's nothing to do with the authors, is that they had the same size table for no matter how many panels. So when I went to the first one and the second one, there were only 2 authors, so they would come either side of the table and stand up. TM Logan had nowhere to go. So, like, he was stuck, and, like, literally, that is probably the most horrendous picture of me, because I've had to lean over to get the photo. It wasn't that he wasn't willing, he just had nowhere to go, because, like, John would come and walk around. Poor Chris was stuck on the end, literally plonked on the end, and Lisa Jewell didn't even come, so they could have spread them out across the table a bit more. But yeah, it was a shame for TM Logan, because I don't imagine his photos are as aesthetically pleasing, but nonetheless, he's such a nice guy, and again, the panel was so interesting, and listening to them talk about their favourite books was really interesting. So Lisa Jewell said The House We Grew Up In. I did not enjoy that at all. I think CM Muan said I Spy, which obviously it's my only one, but I rated it 4.5. John Mars, what did he say his was? I can't remember. Here to Stay was Mark Edwards, which, again, I've read, it's my favourite of the 3 I've read by him. But at the same time, I'm like, whoa. Because it was the most infuriating one, but I think that's what he liked about it. I can't remember what John Mars said his favourite book was. Keep It in the Family, I think, because of the iconic chapter. And then TM Logan, I can't remember what he said, but I've read a lot of his books anyway. So, yeah. But that was the next panel. It was so wholesome, and I have 1 panel to go. So, Friday was done and dusted. So, the last panel of the day I went to see was MJ Alage and Chris Chibnel. Now, I haven't read anything by Chris Chibnel. I literally went purely for MJ Alage. So, I did get my book signed. And I did talk about, so that's the signature. I did talk to him about how I'd read the Helen Gray series, bar the most recent, because I'm waiting for paperback. And he did write in it, for Katie, so lovely to meet you, best wishes. And I did get eye for an eye as well, because I said I'm working through his standalones. So he put, keep reading, best wishes. And again, I've never met MJ Alage. I don't really see much of him on my socials either. So I was a bit worried about how he would be, but actually he was one of the genuinely nicest people. He was so impressed by my amount of reading of his books. And I just said how I'd recently discovered him, what is now 2 years ago. And I just became obsessed with the short chapters. He's trying to adapt the Helen Grace series as well. But he's doing it himself because I didn't realise he was a screenwriter, and actually he was part of Silent Witness, like writing of it, and I absolutely love Silent Witness. So it's things like that. Like he used to work on EastEnders back in the day in like the early noughties, and it baffles me. Alage Chibnel also was the nicest person. I explained I hadn't read his books, but I got my tote bag signed, which I'll show you in a second. And I explained that, and he was like, oh no, I completely understand. I went, yeah, but you just sold the first book to me. I love a detective series. I said, there ain't enough time to read all of these authors. I said, but I'm most definitely going to go and buy your book. And he was like, oh, that's great to hear. And like, he was lovely. Whereas Holly Jackson made some quite, I don't think she meant to sound abrupt, but comments about like if people hadn't read her books and were bringing them to be signed. But you know, there isn't enough time to read all the authors in the world. But yeah, both really lovely gents. And that signing was a lot quieter as well, which was really nice because it meant that we had time to chat to them. And I had just an amazing time. So yeah, they're all the books I got signed. I'm just going to quickly show you the tote bag in a second. And then we'll go on to the books I actually bought, which is probably what most of you are here for. On to the tote bag now. So I got this from Imagining Bookshop, which is a local bookshop in Harrogate, who I didn't realise until it was too late that they had author signings going on all day in there. I missed like C.L. Taylor, Joe Murray. I missed loads of Vaseem Khan, who you'll see in my haul in a minute. But yeah. But I saw somebody doing this idea, so it's not my inspiration, but I have learnt this was such an easy option. I could carry it in my backpack, my back didn't hurt, and I got signatures of loads of the authors. So obviously I've got John Mars correctly this time, T.M. Logan, Mark Edwards, C.M. Muan, A.A. Dand, MJ Alage, MW Craven, Joe Middleton. I want to say Joe Spain, but I don't know if that actually is Joe Spain. Nadine Matheson, Louise Minchin, Steve Kavanagh, Daniel Sellers, Jenny Godfrey, and then a couple of authors as well that I hadn't heard of, but I wanted to kind of get like a few extras. Like there's someone who's just released their first book, and I was like, well, of course you're signing my author tote bag. And she was like, really? I was like, you're an author, aren't you? So that's a book I want to go and try out as well. And I just thought this was a really easy idea, and it's such a nice keepsake as well, like to have it all signed. So yeah, I was really glad I did this. So I did get that tote bag, and then I'll just talk about some of the freebies that I got that are non-book related. This is the book I was talking about. So this is The Honeymoon Suite by Rebecca Taylor McKay. She's just released it in June. It's her debut novel, and of course I'm going to support a new book. And so I've got the bookmark, and I cannot wait to have a look. The book is only currently available in hardback, so I'm going to have a look for it in Kindle. But that was the first kind of like thing I'd picked up. Obviously, I kept all my tickets and my site passes. They're going to go in like a little journal spread I'm planning on doing. The J.M. Dalgleish Murder in the Cathedral came out as well. They were sort of knocking about. You could have won proofs, but unfortunately I won a cocktail, the non-alcohol drinker. They also had some like more tote bags. So they had a free one here celebrating 30 years of Reacher. So that was cool. I really enjoyed that. And that became like my carry-around bag for day 2 that I was there. And they also had a t-shirt. This is just going to be my casual around the house t-shirt. So this is for the upcoming Dan Brown release. So it says, I think, is it The Secret of Secrets? And then on the back is the cover of the book. So that's probably just going to be like a casual wear one around the house when I'm doing the housework on a lounge day. And yeah, I got a few other bits. Mark Edwards gave me a doll thing for his new book. I have already read his new book, so I won't need that. But I love the idea of that. And then again, other ticket. There are still bits in my bag that I need to pull out. But yeah, we're going to go into now what I got book-wise. So everything here is what I've purchased. Some of these have been signed, which I will talk about. But now we're going to go into books that are proofs that I got, books I bought from the bookshop and the independent bookshop, and also just general purchases and things I found around. But I will explain more about those now. Quickly, what I will say, get yourselves one of these. So I didn't realise they were free around the thing, and I was like trying to look at my phone all the time, but this literally has everything you need to know about it. So they're right at the entrance when you go in, and it basically tells you what the events are, where they are, who's doing them, and other events that are going on. So like and obviously the map as to where everything is as well, which yeah, I didn't realise. And yeah, and then it goes on at the back as well to tell you like what's going on in the different rooms. So I definitely recommend you get hold of one of these, because it once I found this on Saturday, it made my life so much easier, because I could look while I was waiting for an event to start. So other little leaflets that I got. So I saw this, and I haven't actually ever read a Jack Reacher. However, my dad is a massive fan of Jack Reacher, and I used to buy him every year the new book until I realised he isn't reading one a year. So I've stopped buying them for now. But this is like a little puzzle book, so I'm excited to have a go at this and have a read through it. But I love that there was just little bits like this dotted around the like venues, and yeah, this obviously is the big one. I haven't looked yet, but here's a sample of Alice Feeney's upcoming release. So Twist by Alice Feeney. This releases, I don't know when it releases actually, but it's her book next year. And yeah, so she's given a little sample, so obviously I'm going to be reading that. And it's called Twist. It doesn't currently have a cover apparently, but super excited to see kind of where this is going to go. I did have a bit of learning at Harrogate. I didn't see Alice Feeney once. Apparently she's really nice. Her panel wasn't till Sunday, which I'd already left on the Saturday. So I did miss her, and I did take books in case I bump into her, because apparently the authors are all around at the event. I get the impression she only came for her event, unfortunately, so I didn't get to meet her. But I will still read her books, but I will be giving more time to authors that were there the whole weekend, that never once tried to promote their books or anything like that. They were just there for the vibes and to chat to people about books in general. So yeah, but giving away samples is always a bonus. Now we're going to go on to the books, because yeah. First book was gifted by the lovely Hannah, and that is Autistically Me by Bradley Richards. Now, I sometimes wonder if I'm a little bit on the spectrum, but I do also work with children with autism, so she said this might be really beneficial to me. She really enjoyed reading it, so she has passed it on. And yeah, so I'm interested to see how this is. It kind of, I think if you look at the thing, it talks about like the diagnosis, but finding my voice, art of believing, how to be human, building bridges, tuning in. So I think it might be quite good from a professional as well as a personal point of view. But that was the first book that I got. And then there was a lady kind of promoting her book, and Best Offer Wins releases in September. So this is probably going to go on my August TBR. Margot's marriage, family and career are dangerously out of control. All she needs is a fresh start in a new house to get her dream life back on track. When the ideal home comes up, desperate measures are called for: a little stalking, some trespassing, befriending the owner, all reasonable enough, right? But when your best offer might not win, then you just need to do what it takes. This is only like 270 pages. Yeah, 269 pages. Like I said, it releases in September, so I'm probably going to put this on my August TBR, because I do tend to slump in September. And this did also come with a gorgeous keyring. So thank you to the author Marissa Cascino. I am so excited to pick this up, and thank you for the proof. I was just walking around and she was there. Someone had like recommended it to me, so I obviously had to pick one up, and I will let you know my thoughts when I get around to reading it. The next arc I received was The Isle of Mole Murders from Daniel Sellers. Now, I never got a picture with Daniel Sellers, and I was literally chatting to him for ages. So I met Daniel at a local library about, God, nearly a year ago now, and since then we've been in contact. We chat quite a lot. I've started reading through his backlist, and I've really enjoyed them. And I have read arcs of his books in the past, so I messaged him when I saw he was at Harrogate, and he put up a post saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be at Harrogate, I'm going to have some proofs available. He actually saved me a proof. How lovely is that? And he did also sign it for me as well. Oh, she says, oh, there he did. So he did also sign it me as well. This releases in September, so this is going on my August TBR also. Again, another short book as well, another 246 pager. So I am excited to read this. I love Daniel Sellers for a palate cleanser. So when, like, for example, I'm currently reading a Chris Carter, I'll probably need something quite light like this to come after it. So I do like Daniel Sellers' writing. And he was so lovely. He was like, oh, please tag me in all your reviews. And I was like, of course I will, don't worry. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking this up. It is a short book as well. This, again, releases in September. I really wish I'd got a photo with him. I cannot believe I forgot to. But yeah, it's exciting times when authors are looking for you to get the art, like, and saving you them. I just thought it was a first come first serve, so I was gutted when I hadn't found him by Saturday morning. But yeah, he saved me one. He's such a gem of a person, and yeah, it was such a privilege to meet him and to receive an arc of his book. Next book I got was Full Circle by Chris Hammer, and I actually found this. So I was wandering about on my own for a bit on the Saturday before I went to get my train, and I was going to go and take a selfie with the read sign, which, this is the sign. I'll put it up here. And basically there on the sign were 2 books. So I picked both up, but I gave one to my friend because I thought it was really unfair for me to pick up both when the other one was a hardback I probably wouldn't read. I don't know much about this. I tried to find the blurb in it, but there is no blurb in it. So I know absolutely nothing about it. Because there's loads of like praise for him in the thing. But there's literally nothing about what the book is about. Oh, it does have a map though. That's cool. So yeah, I don't know what this book is about. So I'll have to look that up because there's literally nothing on it. And I don't know when it releases either. But it does say on the front, every dynasty has its secrets, some are worth killing for. If there's killing involved, I'll probably read it. The text is pretty reasonably sized as well, and it's floppy. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but I saw it, thought I'd pick it up. It's a new author to try, isn't it? Like I said, unfortunately I don't know much about it, but he obviously has left them lying around for people to pick up and try them, so I'm definitely going to give it a go. The next books now are books that I have paid for in my own money, and the first book I picked up was The Weekend by T.M. Logan, and they had like a pop-up shop at Harrogate, and basically it had loads of books in, and I think it was run by Waterstones because I did end up using my vouchers for these. So these actually cost me 98p for this and this, but we'll go into this one in a minute. So I saw The Weekend. I'm currently building my backlist of T.M. Logan books as we speak. So this is his most recent release, and it's finally come out in paperback. I did go in March to see him for The Daughter, and they was talking about this book release that had come out in hardback. So I'm excited to read this. I've heard good things. It's a like dilemma book about basically this group of people go away and they find a huge stash of money. And it's the moral dilemma of, do we hand it in or do we keep it for ourselves? And I would like to know your thoughts actually. What would you do? I think I would have to hand it in. I think I'd feel guilty for taking it. But we're talking thousands and thousands of money. Like, it's not a small amount of money. It's like quite a substantial amount. So yeah, hearing T.M. Logan talk about this was really interesting. And he's already, I think it's The Family is book 10. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes, and I need to fit it in my bookcase. I bought this after I'd met him, so I haven't actually got it signed, but it's another one to add to the TBR. Obviously, I said I picked up 2 and paid for vouchers, and the other one was The Puppet Show by MW Craven. Now, I have actually got this signed, which ironically, he signs it MLC, even though he's called MW Craven, so I don't know if that's like a pseudonym or something. But yeah, I have already read this. This is a trophy copy, and this was a 5-star read for me. I am thoroughly enjoying this series, and this follows Tilly and Poe. Poe is a detective. Tilly works for the police, but in like a different capacity. It doesn't explicitly say it, but I do believe she's neurodivergent. And meeting MW Craven was actually great because I met him on the evening. I went back out after and he was there, and I was too scared to approach him because I thought, well, it's the evening. They're not going to want to be approached to get stuff signed. And Jo Middleton, another author that I met, she was like, just go and do it, Katie, go. So I went over with my tote bag and I said, I haven't brought my book because I've come back out without all my stuff. He was like, yeah, whatever you say. I said, I'm going to come back tomorrow with my book. And I did. And he was quite funny. And he went, because I said, oh God, I'm so scared to approach you all. And he went, honestly, he goes, we want you to come get things signed. It means we know that you like us. So like, he was a genuinely nice guy. Not what I expected. He doesn't look like a typical author, shall we say. But yeah, I rated this 5 stars. It's got comedic value. It's got shock factor. It's dark. So yeah, definitely recommend it. And obviously I had to get it signed. Next up is The Murder in Harrogate. Now, I got this from the independent bookshop. So I did see it in the Waterstones in the pop-up shop, but then when I saw it in the independent bookshop, because I wasn't going to purchase this till I left to go home, I had to buy it because I would rather spend, this cost £20 but I'd rather put that into an independent bookshop than a big chain. So that is why I waited, and I did. I also spent my voucher, so I actually didn't pay for this. It was paid for by a friend of mine, so I will be thanking them. But this has a series of short stories in it around the Harrogate Festival, and obviously the second I saw Steve Kavanagh had a part in this, obviously I was going to buy it. But because as well it's about like Harrogate Crime Festival, I feel like it's a once in a lifetime have to buy. So it has MW Craven, Steve Kavanagh, Anne Cleeves, Mark Billingham, Ellie Griffiths, Ruth Ware, Abir Mukherjee, Claire McIntosh, Vaseem Khan, and Janice Hallett have all had a story in this, and then it's edited by Vaseem Khan. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. I think I'll read this when I've got a few blues about it. And it's also got a bookmark from the independent bookshop as well, so what's not to love? And then the last book that I bought, which has absolutely nothing to do with Harrogate as such, I got it in the works, is Thornbird by Elle Kennedy, and it does have the stunning sprayed edge. This is written by Elle Kennedy. Did I just say Elle Kennedy? She's written it under E. Kennedy. However, I was intrigued to see what she's like as a thriller writer. So this is a thriller. She has written the Off-Campus series, which is huge at the moment. I didn't actually go in for this book, but I went in for The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, but they were out of stock. It's very well loved at the moment, and I'm not surprised. I loved The Women. So at least I came back with pure thriller books. So yeah, definitely will be interested to see where this goes. 17-year-old Ryan Shipley has spent years burying her past. Her dad is the Starling Slayer, a serial killer who has never revealed the whereabouts of his victims. And now Ryan is back in Starling trying to build a life for herself in the shadow of her father's looming execution. Drawn to both Golden Boy Everett and Troublemaker Chase, Ryan finds herself torn between safety and desire. And then Ryan realises that her father has left her a devastating legacy, one that threatens everything and everyone she's begun to care about. Thornbird is a gripping story about small-town secrets, facing your fears and true cost of making impossible choices. So I don't think it's a thriller as such, but we'll give it a go if I need a bit of a change of pace. But yeah, it was the last book that I bought. Guys, I feel like I've just talked for like a hot minute there. I have. I need to go and crack on. That was a super long video. Thank you so much, guys, if you just listened to me chatter on about Harrogate. If you've got any questions about Harrogate, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm no expert by any means, but I can try and help you out if you're looking at going next year and to help your experience. I am also an extremely anxious girlie, so if that is something you're worried about, when you travel solo, you are never alone. So do not for 1 minute think that you are going to be spending a lot of time on your own. People will approach you and completely understand your anxieties. And honestly, I had the best time of my life and completely surpassed my expectations on my ability to socialise, to approach people and to work on my anxiety. So yeah. If you've loved this video, guys, I've already said it once, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much for joining me on what feels like a very long video on all the books I got signed and the books I bought in Harrogate. But it's a one-of-a-kind experience, guys, and I had to bring you a video. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys, and I will see you all on the next video.